Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Amplify with Adam. Today we have Trent here from TNT Machines. Trent, thanks for taking some time out of your day and coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I'm excited to talk to you today. Tell us a little bit about TNT Machines and yourself. Give us a little introduction.
Well, I started TNT Machine unofficially about 5 years ago. I was working at a job. I was a lathe guy, and I really wanted to get on the mills. And once you're established as a lathe guy, you're stuck on the lathes. And
Right.
so one day I was like, well, you know what? I found this old beat up Mazak mill on eBay, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it, because I want to learn more. And I buy it, and oh man, I did not know what I was getting myself into. This thing, it was a Cat 50 taper machine, like it's
Yeah.
a massive machine. And then it was shipped from Michigan. It ended up being an oversized load, and I had to get permits. Like this small like learning investment turned into like this $15,000, And for me at the time, $15,000 was like all the money in the world.
Yeah.
And so I finally get it to my house, and I get phase converters and all those things and get it wired up, and it worked for a little while, and I learned some stuff. I developed some stuff for a friend, and it's kind of sparked my interest to
Right.
keep learning in this trade. And so eventually it kind of crapped out. It broke down. I don't know what happened with it, and then I ended up getting a machine locally for a really good deal at an auction. And that was like more, it was a 1996 Matsura,
Hmm.
and I still run it to this day. That thing is a beast of a machine, and it'll hold plus or minus 5/10, all day long.
Yeah.
And so I ended up getting that, and that was more of like the official start of TNT Machine. That's also around the time that I started working with Xometry, and started going down that road. I remember the first job I did for you guys too. I dropped the ball completely. I scrapped them all. I didn't even ship them. It was all bad. I got blacklisted, and I remember telling my friend, I was like, I'm really positive. I'm like I'm always optimistic about the
Yeah.
future. And like, no offense to you guys, but I was like, oh, I've never heard anybody say, they got rich doing work for Xometry. Who's a Xometry? And I got blacklisted, and it was a bummer. I was
Yeah.
like blacklisted for like, I don't know, like 6 or 9 months. And finally I dropped my ego a little bit and like emailed you guys and was like, hey, can I start doing work for you guys again? I promise I won't mess up. And I think ever since then, I've never, I've been late on one job, and I've never had any quality issues with you guys. So
That's amazing. I mean, fast forward, look, you got the Excellence in Manufacturing Award
yeah,
hanging
yep.
behind you. Yeah. So the optimism paid off. The optimism.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now you guys are my biggest customer probably. So
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, it sounds like you were working in manufacturing. You got started on the side with the $15,000 investment. What was kind of the impetus for saying, okay, now I'm a lathe guy and I want to learn, and kind of expand my knowledge, but how does that translate to starting your own business? Was it just that you were like, I'm ready to take this leap. I feel like I've got, these skills now that I've kind of worked on the side. That's a large leap to not only wanting to learn something new, but starting your own business, right?
for sure. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm starting my business. I quit my job. It wasn't anything like that.
Right.
Before I even bought that machine, I had over 12 years experience in the trade. I grew up in a machining household. My dad's been machining and still machines to this day. He does ceramic machining, and
Mm.
I, started out with him. And so I had a lot of experience and exposure to machining and stuff like that. I bought that machine. I started doing work on the side. I built up clientele for like 3 years, Fortunately, I had a job where I was working a weekend shift. So I would go in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, work 3 12s, and then I would work Monday through Thursday, and I would put in like 4 10s or 4 12s for myself, building clientele, doing work. And I did that for probably about a year and a half or 2 years. And in that time, I got a lathe, and built up clientele. And by the time, I mean, really, my wife was like, "You have to quit your job." I was like
Yeah, I was
gone
about to say,
all the time.
not seeing her at all, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, it just got to the point where I couldn't keep a full-time job and do my customers. So that's when I put in a 2 week notice, and I made a post on LinkedIn actually, and that post went viral. It was huge, like over like 2 or 3 million people viewed it. I was getting messages from all kinds of people that wanted work done,
Holy
and
cow.
yeah, it was
What
amazing.
did you post?
I just posted that I was, burning the boat and starting my own business. And I had just put in my 2 week notice. I can't remember exactly what I put in there, but yeah, it went viral. And some of my biggest customers I still have from that post. Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
amazing.
Yeah, it was super amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you were just like, that's almost like riding the stock market, man. You're like refreshing the LinkedIn page, like, I'm up to 2 million. What? Like, this is
Yeah, it
crazy.
was like 3 days. I kept looking, and I had just joined LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Is this normal? Like, is this going to happen? Like on
You
all
thought
of my
every
posts?"
post you were gonna post was 2
Yeah,
million views.
yeah. Ever since then, I've been trying. I'm like, oh, like look at these cool parts. Nobody
That's
cares.
funny. That's funny. So, I was going to ask like how you kind of got the word out, and when you were saying you were building up your clientele, and it sounds like you struck gold with that first social media post. And I mean,
Yeah.
are you still using like social media to acquire new customers, or is it, because I know you're active on there, or is it a little bit of mix of social and local customers? Kind of how do you go about marketing yourself?
So yeah, I have some local customers, and there's been word of mouth spreading that way. So I've gotten more local customers, and then I do a good amount of work for you guys. And then I also, yeah, on social media, I still post on social media and get a fair amount of work from social media as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And not to
Yeah.
act like we've been, stalking you on social media, but I did see that you hired your first full-time employee in December. So it sounds like you guys are growing a little bit.
Yeah. In fact, I might be hiring my second full-time employee like next week. So
That's amazing. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. I'm also looking at, hopefully by the end of the year, I'm looking like maybe September, October, purchasing an Integrex.
Mm,
So that would increase my capabilities quite a bit.
that's awesome. So what are, as you're starting to hire people, obviously that increases your ability to take on more work, and expand your skill set internally, but there's also some growing pains there. So like, what are you learning as you're bringing on and growing your shop and your small business?
I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. Taking on a lot more work now. Sure, I have help, but then I also have to keep track of everything. Is the
Right.
material ordered? Do I have anodized and all these things set up? I just took a job the other day, and I'm like, yeah, I emailed the plater, yeah, these parts are ready for anodize. And they were like, oh, well, we don't do that kind of anodize. And turns out nobody does that kind of anodize. And so now I'm like, well, what the heck am I going to do? And reaching out to the people I should be. But
Right.
yeah, there's things that slip through the cracks. I told my wife the other day, and I come home often, and I'll bring my computer home to do work at home. And by the time I get home, I told her I feel like, you know, between the 200 emails that I got from Xometry and other customers, and dealing with somebody broke a tap, or whatever the situation may be, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my main growing pain right now, is I'm just overwhelmed.
You're wearing a lot of hats. I mean, that's what happens when you're running a small business is, you've got you know, not only are you probably on the machine and doing some quality stuff, et cetera, but, you know, reaching out and bidding on jobs, you know, checking on the anodized. So it's just a lot of hats. And so how do
Yeah.
you, what's kind of your organizational, like, how do you stay organized? How do you stay on top of all
Uh, I don't know.
Still
I mean,
actively figuring it out.
yeah, I tell my friend Mark, I think you guys interviewed him the other day. But I told my friend Mark, ever since the beginning, he's like, how do you do this? And I just look at him and I just say, I'm winging it, man.
Yeah.
I'm just winging it.
Well, it sounds
And
like what you just have to, you know, what you have to bring in is just a lot of passion for the trade, right? And so, you know, as you're growing your shop, there's going to be a lot of, you know, wearing a lot of hats, a lot of time invested, and you just have to have that passion for it, in order for it to work out, you know.
yeah, and I mean, I write stuff down that's important that I need to like look back because I just get sidetracked.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing one thing, I'm programming, and then I, you know, get a text message, and the next thing I know, I'm on my email and I'm looking at jobs, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm programming right now. Like, what am I doing? You know, it's just, yeah, it's a lot.
So as you look at kind of the future for TNT Machine, you know, what is you were saying that you guys are potentially getting a few more machines in there. What is some, you know, technology that excites you, or what does kind of the future look like for you guys as far as growth goes?
So yeah, like I touched on a minute ago, I'm looking at getting an Integrex, which would increase my capabilities a lot. Right now, I have a 2-axis lathe, a 3-axis mill standard, and then I have a 4-axis Mazak lathe.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do the live tooling with the Y-axis, and that really opened things up a lot for me. And so my next piece of equipment that I'm looking at is an Integrex with Mazak, and that comes with a lot more tools. I can, you know, it kind of indexes like a mill. I can have like 47
Yeah.
tools in there, milling, lathe stuff. It has an articulating head, so it can do angled holes or even like 5-axis simultaneous work, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that would open things up. And then as far as inspection equipment, we were looking at like a handheld CMM
Yeah.
that would do that would also, they said it was compatible to like auto populate the Xometry inspection forms, the Excel spreadsheets, which would help me out a ton. You know, I could just bring over the CMM and check my part and auto populate and, you know, confirm everything. So that,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
that's what we're
that could
looking
save
at.
a ton of time there. And you
Absolutely.
know, a lot of people that I talk to are looking at CMM, CMMCs. You know, is there anyone that's kind of drawing your eye that, you know, I know a lot of, it's top of mind for a lot of people. So is there anyone that is, you know, really exciting for you?
So I haven't done a whole lot of research on it. I did have a company came by the other day and demoed a company called Keonce,
Mm-hmm.
and they demoed their product for me, and it looked really interesting. But I definitely want to get, you know, more input, maybe some people who have them, and see what they say before I pull the trigger on that. But
Yeah.
it's definitely in my mind of something I would also like to get this year.
And where do you go? I mean, it's amazing to see, like, the manufacturing community is so vibrant online and also locally for sharing knowledge and advice. When you say, you know, go and see what people have, you know, where do you go to talk to folks that might have other technologies that you're looking at?
I would probably reach out on my social media and
Yeah.
see if anybody else knows, or maybe look on some forums, you know, Practical Machinist or something, see if anybody has that equipment and has anything that they, or somebody else that's already posted and been like, hey, I'm looking at buying this. Does anybody have any input? And I could just read the posts on there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting because, like, it seems top of mind for a lot of folks right now. And you know, like we've said in the past, is it almost feels like there's three legs to the stools, right? There's like programming, there's the actual machining, and then there's the quality inspection. And you have to make sure that those are all kind of level as far as the skill and the capabilities that you have within your shop to make sure everything flows really quickly
Yeah.
and well efficiently through the shop.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Well, that's amazing, man. Now, besides capabilities, I mean, do you see, do you see adding, you said you're looking at like a second employee, right? Do you see a lot of
Yeah.
growth from an employee side?
Yeah. So actually I talked to somebody yesterday about coming on full time. And it sounds like 95% sure that he's going to. I've actually had him part-time in here for
Oh,
several
cool.
months. Yeah. And so he knows what to expect and the environment and everything. And I know what I'm getting too. So it's
Yeah.
actually really nice, Um, so yeah. And then after that, I would say I'm not looking to hire anybody until I get another machine
Yeah.
because I have 3 machines. That'll be 3 people. The newest guy, though, I'm going to have him probably working because he works a weekend shift right now. He works where I used to work. And so I'll probably have him work like a Friday through Monday type schedule. That way he could overlap with us, but get stuff done over the weekend. And that would really help out.
Yeah. Now, when you're looking at, you're talking about the new machines that you're getting and some of the capabilities that'll expand. Do you, is it something that like when you're talking to your customers, they highlight jobs that you can't take until you get those capabilities or would be difficult to do? Or is it something that you kind of just have a feeling that you would have access to additional work given those new capabilities? Like, are you doing kind of market analysis before, or is it more so, if I
It's
get this, the work will come?
Yeah, it's more jobs that I see that I can't really bid or don't feel comfortable bidding
Mhm.
just because it'll take too much time, or there's 3 lathe ops and 5 mill ops or something. When like it'll just open me up to take more complex work.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I am a lathe guy. I'm like totally a live tooling lathe guy. I do okay on the mill,
Yeah.
and I can get stuff done for sure on the mill. But when it comes down to it, I'm a lathe guy. And so this machine, it's primarily a lathe, but it would open me up to do those more complex milling operations as well and do it all done in 1 or 2 ops. And yeah,
Yeah.
I see a lot of work that I could take for it. And
Funny, you said once you're a lathe guy, you're always a lathe guy. And
oh
20 years later, you're still a lathe guy.
man.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
no,
at least
just
I know what I'm
yeah.
doing on the mill.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. Now,
Yeah.
one thing I always ask is there's a lot of folks that are interested in getting into the manufacturing space, right? So if you were kind of talking to your younger self from 2017, you're thinking about starting this business, right? You're getting into it. Well, what's kind of one piece of advice that you would pass along for as you're getting into either starting your own shop or maybe even just getting into the manufacturing space for someone that's interested in it?
Oh man, one piece of advice, huh?
Well, it can be
Um,
a couple. I don't want to limit you, but you know what I mean? Like what's kind of a lesson that you would pass on?
um, I don't know. I would say customer service and quality is number one.
Mm,
Um, I really try not to be late on anything, but I mean, 90% of the time, if I reach out to a customer and say, hey, this is going to be 2 days late because it just took longer than I expected and I
yeah.
want to deliver a quality part, they are always fine with that. And I don't know, just just kind of roll with it. I'm really not like a high stress guy.
Yeah.
Even when things are like hitting the fan. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I roll with it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if you're going to be in this kind of a position, and dealing with the day to day, the in and out of all of the stresses and stuff, I don't know. I just can't take it too seriously.
Yeah. It sounds like, I mean, if the stress is kind of happening and the stuff is hitting the fan, right? It's the people connections, it's customer service, it's reaching out and saying, hey, I want to deliver you a really quality part here. That's going to take an extra day, and developing those relationships and leaning on those relationships is really important.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
And and I would also say taking some time to step away,
Mm,
you know, make that time to get away from the business, I mean, 90% of the time I go home and I turn it off. You know, I usually don't bring my computer home. I usually don't work from home. I have 3 kids and a wife, and they, you know, deserve my attention as well. So
100%.
yeah.
No, I think and that's important, right? Because we were talking about passion earlier. It takes passion to thrive in this business, for the business, but you got to know when to you know, kind of put it in a box, right, for your business, and focus on you and your family as well. So that's good advice as well, man. You said you didn't know, and then you dropped 2 golden nuggets on us. Those
I
are,
know.
you know.
I know.
No, that's amazing, man. And Trent, I've so enjoyed this conversation. I'd love. It sounds like you guys are growing a lot over at TNT Machine, and you know, we'd love to check in the future as you develop in 2021, and see kind of how you're growing, and as you're getting in those new machines, what you're learning, and you know, really just kind of grow with you and hear from you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Trent, thank you for joining us this week, and guys, check in for another week of Amplify with Adam next week. Trent, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.